First contact and miscalculation. The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 15,000 years. Hundreds of species from thousands of worlds lived in relative harmony under its guidance, each finding their niche in the complex ecosystem of interstellar politics. The discovery of new spacefaring civilizations was routine, a process handled with practiced diplomatic precision by the Confederation's First Contact Division. Earth's detection had been unremarkable. The primitive radio signals had been monitored for centuries before humans achieved faster-than-light travel. When Admiral Vereen of the Confederation vessel Eternal Harmony was assigned to make first contact with the newly spacefaring humans, she expected nothing more than another routine integration. The first meeting occurred in neutral territory, the newly established human outpost on Ganymede. Admiral Vereen led a delegation of 7 major Confederation species, including the militaristic Zarkians, whose empire had expanded rapidly in the last 2 centuries. "Welcome to the greater community of spacefaring civilizations," Admiral Vereen announced through translation devices as she faced the human delegation. Her translucent skin shifted through patterns of formal greeting colors, while her 4 arms performed the ceremonial gestures of welcome. "We have observed your development with interest." United Earth Ambassador Elena Chen stepped forward, her face composed but her eyes revealing intense curiosity. "On behalf of humanity, we are honored to join this greater community and look forward to peaceful cooperation and cultural exchange." The meeting proceeded according to the carefully choreographed protocols established over millennia of first contacts. The human representatives asked thoughtful questions about Confederation structure, trade agreements, and technological exchange programs. Everything followed the expected pattern until the Zarkian representative, Commander Drex, requested a private meeting with the human delegation. In the smaller conference room, Commander Drex's armored exoskeleton clicked as he adjusted his posture. His species had evolved from apex predators on a harsh desert world, and their biology reflected this: multiple compound eyes, razor-edged limbs, and a complex respiratory system that produced a distinctive hissing when they spoke. "Your species has achieved much in a short time," Drex stated without preamble, his translator converting the clicks and hisses to smooth human speech. "However, you must understand your place in the hierarchy. New species require guidance and protection. The Zarkian Dominion offers both." Ambassador Chen's expression remained diplomatic. "We appreciate your offer, Commander, but Earth intends to join the Confederation as outlined in the Charter, as equals with appropriate transitional provisions." "Equality is earned," Drex responded, his upper limbs making the gesture that the humans would later learn signified dismissal. "Your technological development is impressive, but haphazard. Your biology is fragile. Your political systems are chaotic. The Dominion can provide structure." The meeting ended cordially, but the tension lingered. In the following weeks, as the human delegation toured the massive Confederation hub station, they noticed the subtle power dynamics at play. Most species treated the humans with cautious curiosity or polite indifference, but the Zarkians watched them constantly. Earth's formal application to join the Confederation proceeded rapidly. Unlike many newly discovered civilizations, humans had already unified their planet under a single governmental structure, the United Earth Council, making negotiations simpler. Still, integration would take decades, with humans classified as a developing species with limited representation. 6 months after first contact, the first incident occurred. The human research vessel Curiosity was conducting astronomical surveys in the Kuiper Belt when 3 Zarkian ships intercepted it. Claiming to be performing routine security checks, they boarded the vessel without permission. "Your presence in this sector requires authorization," the Zarkian officer informed Captain Maya Rodriguez. "This system is now under Zarkian protective oversight." "This is Earth's home system," Rodriguez protested. "We have filed all appropriate navigation notices with the Confederation." "Developing species requires supervision," was the only explanation given before the Zarkians confiscated the ship's data cores and left. Admiral James Way of Earth's Space Defense Force recognized the pattern from humanity's own history. "They're testing our boundaries," he told the United Earth Council. "Each provocation will escalate until we either submit or respond forcefully." The Council debated their options. Some advocated for patience and diplomatic solutions. Others pushed for a military response. In the end, they chose a middle path, continuing diplomatic engagement while quietly accelerating military preparation. The second incident came 3 months later when a Zarkian mining operation established itself on Ceres without permission. When confronted, they claimed the asteroid was unclaimed territory under Confederation law, since humans hadn't formally registered it, a technicality that was technically correct, but violated the spirit of the integration agreements. Earth's representatives scheduled an emergency meeting with Admiral Vereen, who appeared troubled by the developments. "The Zarkians are notorious for this approach with newly discovered species," she admitted privately to Ambassador Chen. "They expand their influence through these legal ambiguities." "And the Confederation allows this?" Chen asked. "The Confederation maintains balance." Vereen's skin patterns shifted to something humans would later recognize as resignation. Direct intervention would destabilize that balance. The situation deteriorated further when a human colony ship bound for Proxima Centauri was intercepted by a Zarkian battle cruiser. The colony ship was escorted back to Earth with a clear message. Expansion beyond Sol would require Zarkian approval and oversight. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session. The message was clear: submit to Zarkian dominance or face consequences. For the first time since first contact, Earth's leaders found themselves united in resistance rather than cooperation. "We didn't unite our planet and reach for the stars just to become vassals to another species," President Adama declared to thunderous applause. "If the Confederation won't uphold its own principles, then we will protect ourselves." Earth accelerated its military preparations while continuing diplomatic efforts. Human scientists worked around the clock analyzing the limited Confederation technology they'd been given access to, looking for weaknesses and opportunities. The Space Defense Force reorganized for potential conflict rather than exploration. The final provocation came without warning. The Zarkian flotilla that appeared in Earth orbit was massive: 12 battleships and their support vessels. Commander Drex's message was broadcast worldwide. "People of Earth, the Zarkian Dominion has determined that your species requires direct guidance for proper development. Your chaotic self-governance endangers both yourselves and future Confederation stability. Submit to Zarkian authority, and we will elevate your civilization appropriately." Resistance would be regrettable but educational. The Zarkians gave Earth 48 hours to surrender control of their planetary government and military assets. Throughout those hours, the massive ships remained in orbit, weapons systems powered but inactive, a clear demonstration of overwhelming force. What the Zarkians didn't realize was that humans had been preparing for this moment since the first incident. As the deadline approached, Ambassador Chen delivered Earth's response. "The people of Earth have considered your offer and have prepared our answer." The human response. When the deadline arrived, the Zarkians expected either surrender or a futile show of resistance. What they received instead was silence. No diplomatic messages, no military mobilization. The primitive human defense platforms remained powered down. Their small fleet of warships stayed docked at their orbital stations. Commander Drex was experienced enough to be suspicious. Full sensor sweep of the planet and orbital facilities, he ordered from the command center of his flagship, the Inevitable Dominance. "Report any unusual energy signatures or movement." "Nothing unusual, Commander," his senior technician reported. "Human communication networks show significant activity, but nothing military. Their defense grid remains inactive. Perhaps they're more rational than expected," Drex mused. "Prepare landing parties for the major governance centers." The first wave of Zarkian shuttles descended toward Earth's surface. As they entered the atmosphere, still without resistance, Drex allowed himself to feel satisfaction. Another species had recognized reality and chosen the path of submission over destruction. It was the natural order. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries. The shuttles were halfway to their destinations when every one of them simultaneously lost power. They didn't explode or crash. They simply stopped functioning. Emergency systems failed. Communication systems went dark. The shuttles drifted, caught by Earth's automated rescue drones, and gently guided to landing zones far from populated areas. Simultaneously, the Zarkian battleships in orbit experienced cascading system failures. Weapons, shields, engines, life support, everything with the most basic functions shut down in seconds. What's happening? Drex demanded as emergency lighting bathed the command center in dim red. Report. Unknown form of system compromise. His operations officer responded, frantically working controls that no longer responded. It's affecting all ships similarly. No damage to hardware, but all systems are locked out. On their screens, they watched in disbelief as hundreds of small objects separated from Earth's surface and began rising toward them. Not missiles or fighters, but small unmanned craft moving with precision. Ambassador Chen's face appeared on their still-functioning communication screen. Commander Drex, your vessels are currently under our control. The small drones now approaching your ships are carrying human technical teams to ensure your life support remains functional while we discuss terms. Impossible, Drex sputtered. Our systems are incompatible with your primitive technology. Our cybersecurity is based on principles your species doesn't even understand. That was your first miscalculation, Chen replied calmly. When you confiscated our research vessel's data cores 6 months ago, you didn't just take our astronomical data. You took our bait. Understanding dawned on Drex. A trap. We call it a Trojan horse, Chen explained. Those data cores contain specially designed dormant code. When your technicians analyze them, the code transferred to your systems, where it's been gathering information and spreading throughout your network ever since. Every Zarkian ship that communicated with those original vessels became infected. The human technical teams boarded the disabled Zarkian vessels without resistance. They brought with them portable life support units, ensuring the comfort of the Zarkian crews while completely removing their ability to resist. On Earth, President Adama addressed the Confederation Council through emergency channels. The United Earth Council wishes to file a formal complaint regarding unauthorized military action in our sovereign territory. We have contained the situation and request immediate diplomatic intervention. The response was immediate. Within hours, Admiral Verine's diplomatic vessel arrived at the edge of the Sol system, accompanied by representatives from the Confederation's Security Division. What followed was the most rapid revision of a species classification in Confederation history. Humans were immediately reclassified from developing species to emergent strategic power. The Zarkian officers were detained for treaty violations, and sanctions were imposed on the Zarkian Dominion. In the diplomatic chambers aboard the Eternal Harmony, Admiral Verine's skin displayed patterns of both respect and concern as she spoke with Ambassador Chen and the human delegation. Your species' response was unprecedented, she admitted. Most newly contacted civilizations would have either surrendered or launched a conventional counterattack. Neither would have been effective against the Zarkians. We studied history, Chen replied simply. Both our own and what we could learn of the Confederations. Direct confrontation favors the technologically superior force. Asymmetric approaches level the playing field. The question remains, a representative from the Security Division interjected. How did you develop a cyber weapon capable of compromising Zarkian systems when you had minimal exposure to their technology? Admiral Wei answered this one. We didn't need to understand all of their technology. We just needed to understand how they think. The Zarkians are confident, hierarchical, and procedural. Their security would be strong but standardized. We designed an adaptive system that would learn their patterns and evolve to exploit them. All from a few data cores. The security representative sounded skeptical. Combined with what we learned from studying the limited technology exchange the Confederation provided, White confirmed, humans excel at pattern recognition and creative problem-solving. In the years that followed, the balance of power in that sector of the galaxy shifted dramatically. The Zarkian Dominion, embarrassed by their defeat, withdrew from expansion efforts near human space. Other species, previously intimidated by Zarkian aggression, began establishing independent diplomatic relations with Earth. The humans never revealed the full extent of their capabilities, maintaining strategic ambiguity that made potential adversaries cautious. They engaged enthusiastically with the Confederation, becoming known for innovative approaches to long-standing problems and unorthodox diplomatic solutions. A decade after the incident, Commander Drex, now a professor of interspecies relations at the Confederation Academy, gave a lecture that would become famous throughout civilized space. The fundamental error in our approach to humans was categorical. We classified them based on their technological development, their physical fragility, and their apparent political disorganization. We failed to recognize their adaptive intelligence, their historical experience with asymmetric conflict, and their capacity for unified action when threatened. They didn't think like any species we had encountered before. He paused, his compound eyes scanning the diverse audience of students. The lesson is clear. Technological superiority creates the illusion of inevitable victory. The humans stripped away that illusion in ours. They could have destroyed our vessels and killed our crews, but they chose restraint, another trait we failed to value appropriately. In my lifetime, I've witnessed dozens of species join the Confederation. None have integrated more rapidly or influenced our collective thinking more significantly than humans. In diplomatic circles throughout the Confederation, a new saying emerged: negotiate with humans, trade with humans, befriend humans if you wish, but never, ever provoke them. The warning spread from species to species, becoming something between cautionary tale and grudging respect. Humans, for their part, continued exploring the stars, establishing colonies and building alliances, always ready to defend themselves but genuinely seeking peaceful cooperation. As Admiral Wei would later explain to a new generation of Earth's defenders, our greatest victory wasn't defeating the Zarkians. It was changing how the galaxy thinks about humanity. We didn't just want to survive in the cosmos, we wanted to thrive. And sometimes, the best way to avoid war is to make sure everyone understands exactly why starting one would be a terrible mistake.